In the days before the darkness covered the land, my kingdom was a very different place. The sun shone warm, the hills were verdant, and the fields were fertile. Our people were peaceful and joyous, with few causes for concern and many causes for celebration. I acceded to the throne after the death of my parents, King Kai and Queen Gerda. From the moment the mantle of rulership was clasped around my shoulders, I swore to protect the kingdom from harm just as I would protect my own family. For indeed, following my parents' untimely death, I was left in charge of my infant sister, Lily. I ruled the kingdom with a fair and gentle hand, the same way I raised Lily, and both flourished. I used my healing powers to keep illness and evil at bay. Our nation prospered under my benevolent stewardship. In the 7th year of my reign, when the roses were in bloom and the people were preparing to celebrate summertide, disaster struck. A winter storm rose in a single night, bringing with it a blizzard that left a blanket of snow over the land. Nightmares rode in on the wind, torturing those they met and turning their minds to madness. I opened the palace doors to shelter my citizens from the cold and from the nightmare's touch. Those within the palace walls survived the cold night. Once the storm passed, I led a party to succor any survivors. The destruction was devastating. Nary a trace of vegetation was left. There was only white as far as the eye could see. More terrible yet, there was no movement in the landscape, save for the nightmares in search of fresh victims. The wounded were brought to the palace. I went from one sickbed to the next, providing such healing as I could. It was my duty as queen to come to the aid of all those in need. After healing the last citizen, as I yearned for respite, my faithful aide whispered urgently, "Come quickly, it's your sister." Lily's face was contorted and she raged wildly. When I went to her bedside, Lily shrieked and lacerated me with a blade of ice hidden in her bedclothes. It shattered, and a sharp pain shot through my breast. My aides held her writhing form as I laid my hands on her to free her from the nightmare that possessed her. But this was in vain. The shard of ice that had pierced my heart had corrupted my healing touch. Instead of healing my dear sweet Lily, she died, frozen by my own hand. Even in the darkest of times, a queen's duty is to her people. I had no time to grieve. The kingdom was in crisis. I summoned my most brilliant counselors and savants to understand whence this evil had come, but not even the wisest of men could tell me how this could have been prevented, nor how to put an end to it. For indeed, the winter was never ending. Day after day, the sun rose over the glittering snows that had buried my kingdom. Many began to despair that they would never see a rose in bloom again. Whispered rumors came to my ears, dark mutterings in corners. Some thought I was to blame. They spoke of a royal curse. They thought my malediction proof of some dark stain in my family's past that had brought this evil down on our kingdom. I could not permit such ill misgivings to fester in the darkness. I gathered my people and made a formal proclamation. I myself would set out to find the source of the evil and put a stop to it, to return our kingdom to its true state. I swore that as their monarch, I would not rest until I had restored peace and tranquility to our land once again. With that, I left my council to rule in my stead, and I set out on my own to right the wrong that had been done to my kingdom, as befits a ruler. Such is the fate that was thrust upon me, and I accepted this heavy burden with dignity. In my journeys, I encountered the warriors of the Ravenswatch, who also strove to chase the nightmares from our lands. I agreed to join their ranks and fight alongside them, as long as they served my purposes. I aimed to find the source of the darkness and cast it out. If the Ravenswatch could help further my aims, all the better. However, I had not anticipated the band of misfits and eccentrics such an organization would contain. Among the ranks of the Watch, I found a few kindred spirits, but most were fools and weaklings who would be of no use to me. Time and again, I found myself carrying the heaviest share of our burden. When I finally found the source of the darkness, I discovered Baba Yaga was its source. Emboldened by my righteous vengeance, I vanquished my foe and ended her reign of terror. As my wrath abated, I looked around and caught a glimpse of myself in a looking glass. With horror, I realized that what I saw was not the triumph of good over evil. What I saw instead was one cold-hearted queen standing over the dead, broken body of another. But to what end? To claim her place and reign in her stead? Is that what I had been after all this time? Vengeance for vengeance's sake is hollow, I realized. Baba Yaga's death would not return my dear Lily to me, nor would the nightmares disappear along with her. Reverie had been changed forever, and we must change with it. I must change with it. In the Ravenswatch, I had met a host of well-meaning souls united in a common cause. Though I took them for fools, I saw that a great good had come of our struggle. Together, we were capable of more than any one of us could do individually. For the first time, I realized that I was not alone. I returned home, and to the surprise of all, I left the kingdom in the capable hands of the council who had ruled in my absence. My last decree as sovereign was to order the borders open to all those who will stand against the nightmares. If there is to be hope for Reverie's future, it shall come from working together. This shall be Lily's legacy.